Okay, I think we're live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Samantha Studebaker Carl, broadcasting live from beautiful Southwest Georgia. And if you're out here hanging out with us, you are watching the Saturday Morning Mastermind, and we are glad to have you on here with us. We have some extra guests this morning. I just love adding people to the conversation because, you know, we get different perspectives from different people, and we can always learn so much more. And so I'm here with all my good friends, Dan Smith, Catherine Clement, Jason Roberts, Donna Allen, Danielle DeLyons, and Christina Irvin. And, you know, guys, I don't know where you are in the world, but if you are watching on YouTube, I would like for you to jump over to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com, and that way you'll be on our live event page so that you can comment and tell us, you know, who are you? Where are you in the world? We'd love to hear from you. What's the weather doing? Is it your first time visiting with us, and that sort of thing. But before we go forward, I just want to let anybody who's brand new kind of know what's going on. Every week we get together on our Saturday Morning Mastermind, and we discuss different books that can help us be more successful in business, have better relationships, you know, in business and as an employee or in your career or anything like that. And then we just work on any kind of personal development, just so that we can become better versions of ourselves. And so this week we are in the middle of studying the book How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age by Dale Carnegie. But before we get going with that, I want everybody to have a chance to introduce themselves. So Dan, if you want to go ahead and take it away, and then go from there.
All righty. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm Dan Smith. I live in Boise, Idaho, having a beautiful, beautiful spring day and a beautiful spring weekend here. So anyway, welcome. I'm glad you've come to the call.
Morning, everybody. This is Jason Roberts in St. Petersburg, Florida. I hope everyone is also having a great morning. Happy Valentine's Day, and glad to have two new guests on our panel today. Looking forward to meeting them.
Good morning, everybody. This is Danielle DeLyons in Anaheim, California. We've been having sunny weather here, and it's another sunny day. And excited as well, Jason and Dan, to invite the new ladies onto the panel today.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Irvin, and I am in beautiful Northeast Tennessee, where it is cold as all get out, and we're awaiting the snow. But I'm very excited to be here this morning, and happy Valentine's Day to you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Donna Allen from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm honored to be on the panel with this fine friends that I've just met just recently. And it's cold here in North Carolina.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to have Donna and Christina here with us today. And I thought I recognized that North Carolina accent. You know, I grew up in North Carolina, but when I moved out to Colorado, I had to retrain myself how to speak because nobody, some of the looks that I got, I won't even go into it. But anyway, so glad you're here, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm in Boulder, Colorado, and it's sunny today, but someone told me that we've got some snow moving in, so we'll see, I guess. Thank you for coming, everyone. Happy you're here.
Sounds like we've got a variety of weather, and we have folks from all over the country. It's so wonderful to be able to get together on a hangout like this with people from, you know, different areas, and you know, be able to get to know one another. I just love hangouts like this, and I enjoy this whole gathering because of the fact that we can learn so much from one another. But let me just jump over to our page real quick and just welcome everybody who's hanging out with us this morning. So welcome, BG, Christopher, Dan, Chris, welcome, Holly. Let's see who else is on here. Angie, Ron, Marsha, Benone, another Sandy, and that's wonderful. I just love seeing more and more people showing up here and hanging out with us. And as we go through this conversation, please feel free to add your thoughts to the conversation. because we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your thoughts on what we're talking about as well, and your insights, because like I was saying, we can all learn so much more by working together to, really get this information into our brains and help us all have more success. So this chapter, we're actually in section, let's see, I think it's section 3. I always forget what section that we're in, but I want to make sure so everybody knows exactly where we are. Oh, sorry, part 2, 6 ways to make a lasting impression. And nope, that's not right. We're in part 3. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I should mark my pages, right? Then I would be knowing where we are. Almost there, almost there. Okay, sorry. Okay, part 3, how to merit and maintain others' trust, and we are in chapter 7 of part 3, which is engage with empathy. And this chapter starts out by talking about a story of a pitcher who had thrown a perfect game, or what almost was a perfect game, and yet it was kind of taken away from him because the umpire made a wrong call. Well, in a previous section, we talked about how the umpire had the the internal fortitude, if you will, to get up there and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, please forgive me, because obviously after the call was made, it was done. There was nothing that could be done. And when he went to the pitcher and said, I'm sorry, the pitcher was like, it's okay, I understand. But then later, the pitcher has an opportunity to be in front of the camera, and he's up there, and he's got all the news people asking him questions about this. How does he feel about this wrong call and this perfect game taken away from him and all of that? And so he had the opportunity to berate this umpire. He had the opportunity to go and say all kinds of negative stuff about him if he wanted to, because, I don't know about you, but I've noticed out there in the world that's what people typically do, is they get upset and then they talk horrible about other people. But instead of doing that, the pitcher was like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. I understand there's a lot of pressure on the umpire to make the right call, and he does the best that he can do. So what happened was the pitcher was actually seeing things from the umpire's point of view, and by being able to do that, he was able to make a connection with that umpire. He was also able to make connection with people out there in the world, and so that lifted him up and made him a person for people really to look up to, rather than just being a complainer and someone who's upset. And so, today we're going to talk about engaging with empathy, and the purpose behind doing that is really, connecting with people on their level, from their perspective, so that you can really make a deeper connection and be able to communicate with them more effectively. And of course, if we're talking about in business, then being able to develop customer relationships, or make more sales, or get more people into your business, or get a better job in your career, whatever it is, the better that you are with actually looking and seeing things from other people's perspective, the easier it will be for you to connect with them. So before we start talking about anything else in this chapter, I just want to get with everybody and say, okay, so what are your thoughts so far on engaging with empathy? What was your biggest takeaway from this chapter? Let's start there. Who wants to jump out first?
Well, I don't mind to jump off first. I think one of my biggest takeaways was really, it's very easy to get to lose the moment and not be in the moment. And I was very impressed with how the pitcher was actually able to really be in the moment and just have an understanding, a selflessness. To me, that's what jumped out the most, was just the selflessness to understand, this umpire made this decision. It was clearly the wrong decision. Everybody could see that it was a wrong decision. There was no sense in piling on top of it. And have that compassion to understand what that umpire was going through is going to be far worse and he's going to be crushing himself even more than, berating him could have ever done. And for me, a selflessness is what's required to be empathetic. Could you hear
That's
me?
a great point, Christina. Yes, that's great. Yes, he was so selfless, and that, sometimes that's hard to do especially when you think you feel like you've been wronged. I mean, and he was up for, accolades and everything depending on that call. So that was wonderful of him to be able to keep his composure like that. Um, I don't want to talk about politics, people, but I'm just saying, uh, I don't see people having much compassion for politicians. Personally, I think that would be like the most horrible job in the world. So I'm just thankful that somebody else will do it, because I don't want to do it, and I don't have any of the answers to like all those problems. So I tend to be really quite compassionate with our leaders, because boy, they're under a lot of pressure. I couldn't do it myself. But I love the story in this chapter about the nurse that has dinner with the patient. And of course, being a nurse for 20 years, I used to stay after, especially when I mostly worked with neonatal babies, premature babies in intensive care, but I also did some work in nursing homes and things. And it's 12-hour shifts, but you don't have time to do anything personal for the people, it seems like. So I used to stay after and give foot rubs, or, sneak egg salad sandwiches to people and stuff like that. So I guess that part, I really loved that part, because it brought up some memories for me. But, people just need to feel a connection in this day and time. Everybody is so isolated. We used to live in communities, or families live together, several generations in the same household, and we've really lost so much of our culture. People are feeling very lonely out there, and today on Valentine's Day, there's a lot of people out there that this is a horrible day for them, and it's because they feel isolated. People are really looking for that connection, and especially in business. Now, some people don't, they're just strict business. They don't want any kind of connection. They just want to pay you and get out of there, and that's fine. But other people really, that's what will set you apart, is if you can connect to them in a personal way. That'll keep them coming back to you every time.
I think it's interesting that you commented about, the empathy and people coming back to you, and how important that is to repeat business, and even an extension of that, referral business. That was a really good point you made.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. I was trying to unmute a little bit ago. Can y'all hear me? Okay. I wasn't sure. My computer's being funky here, kind of like it's frozen up. Anyway, as I was reading through this chapter and stuff, I went back to school mentally, as a child, and thinking about, kids that I bullied, and then kids that bullied me, and times that I didn't speak up and maybe protect other people from the bullying that was going on there. And like right now, I don't know, in different parts of the country, we have every year we have something called Rachel's Challenge here in the schools, and Rachel was the first little girl that was killed at Columbine High School a few years ago, and her family, her brother and her parents, put together a program where they go around to the schools and they try to keep other kids from bullying other kids at school, because of what that actually leads to. And the ultimate there was what it led to at Columbine. If you don't remember that, I can't remember, 15 kids or something like that was killed at Columbine in a school shooting a few years ago. And so just going back mentally to how I felt as a teenager, and in some way, kids are ruthless. I mean, they treat each other as shark bait, and they really go for the throat and go for the jugular, and just to put yourself into like this umpire's position, mentally live it, what he went through, because he screwed up. He made a terrible call. Or even on the Super Bowl a week or two ago, when the last play of the game there, the quarterback who, they should have ran the ball and he threw the ball, and so all of a sudden he's like shark bait for the whole nation. It's like, why do you do that? He screwed up. He threw the game. So, just mentally to put yourself in another person's position as a human being, and feel empathetic, or feel empathy feelings of what they're going through, because hey, we're all human. We all screw up, on a daily basis, and if you're human, you're pretty much 100% guaranteed you're going to mess up somewhere along the line, and in those times that at least when I mess up, I really am looking for compassion and grace from other people, and then hopefully when they screw up, I'll return that favor to them. So I'll turn it over to somebody else.
I'll piggyback off of Dan on that, because I was thinking about those same things this morning, about how many times the bully is the one that needs the most empathy of all, and it's a defense mechanism because they're in pain, and that's one of the reasons they lash out so often. And I have found situations, I've been learning a little technique lately when I've seen situations happen like that I can, in my own mind, be empathetic towards them if it's not an appropriate situation, but to say to them, it's okay, I forgive you for your pain, and you'll be okay. And even that, just in doing that, I've seen a change in people, because you're more understanding that maybe they've been conditioned to that for so long, they've been treated a certain way, and they've grown into this type of behavior, and it keeps you at peace too. Because I've never seen a situation, you'll see people go back and forth, and there's no resolving the real conflict or the problem, and coming from a standpoint of not being an empathetic person. But in situations, even, as parents, when we've been more empathetic towards one child than the other in a situation, it resolves the whole problem real quick. And so it's always a good measure if we can remember, just like Dan said, that we would want the same for ourselves in a situation, to kind of pay it forward so that it does come back to us when needed.
No doubt, Danielle. No doubt. We're all going to be in that position at some point in time. So I like what Dan was saying. Hopefully we can. We trust that they'll be gracious to us. This chapter shows us the other side of the story, where I think we were discussing before about how the umpire had to, admit his mistakes, even though it wouldn't change anything. But by doing that, he sort of dissolved the fiery aspect of the issue, and it helped everyone communicate, and helped everyone to see things from another perspective. And gosh, I mean, to get put into this spot, and like this young man was, and where he was robbed of going down in history of doing something that is so rare and so difficult to do. For him, I mean, I guess one aspect, he knew that everybody in the world was watching, and they saw it, so they could judge for themselves. So he didn't need to, verbalize it and throw a tyrant and voice his opinions, because I think he probably felt like everyone saw it as well as he did. But to go on live television and bring up how to keep it in perspective, I mean, that was amazing. And I like what they say, that he probably has gone down in history for that, and it's probably even a better crown of achievement for him to have handled it that way. That's just, I guess, and it's a great example of how you can turn defeat or a loss into something really great. And and you know, teaching everyone so much about, you know, something as important as this. So, yeah, great chapter.
Yeah, I like to say real quick. When I read this chapter, the question came to my mind was sympathy versus empathy, or either way you want to look at it. I'll ask myself a question: would I rather have empathy or sympathy for this situation? I would much choose the empathy part because sympathy sounds too much like woe is me, you know, and then you want to go out, like you said, each one of you said, I'll piggyback on that. It's easier to, for some people, they have a tendency to want to go out and just lash out at that circumstance, and that guy had all the more opportunity to do that. But as one person said, you know, some people criticize Santa Claus if they could. They get out there, you know, and just cut them down. And really, like I think it was Danielle said, the person that's doing that is the most one that really needs the help. And then again, that person, you remember what the guy said to the umpire, or vice versa. What did he say? And going back to, I'm sorry, Colorado there, I'll get her name eventually. Being in the background of a nurse too, I can relate to that. But people, as the saying goes, each one of you've heard this, they remember. I wrote it down. People will forget, but somehow will remember how you made them feel. So that was what I saw in that situation was most influential there. Okay, thank you.
Oh, everybody made such wonderful points. You know, we could touch on all of these different things multiple times, and you know, I took some notes because I wanted to make sure and remember what everyone said, because you know, this is one of the topics that I feel that a lot of us really have to work on, and I think sometimes it's easy to, you know, be sometimes it's easy to see someone else's point of view when they're sitting there right there with you and they're telling you their story. You know, it's a friend of yours or your sister or you know, your husband or whatever, and you can kind of see what they're talking about. But it's a whole nother thing when you're out there in the world and you're driving down the road and someone cuts in front of you and they're trying to get over the exit, or you don't even know what they're trying to do. They're just cutting in front of you, and a lot of times we have this instant reaction is we're so caught up in our own little world that whatever that other person is doing, we're upset with them because, you know, they cut us off, you know. And when we can kind of look at the other person and go, okay, wait, you know, what's actually going on with them? If we kind of see things from the other person's point of view or put ourselves in their shoes, we may realize that, oh, wait, you know, they're just trying to get to that exit, you know, or maybe they're trying to get out of the way of a truck that's coming up behind them, or, you know, I mean, who knows what's going on with them. But when we can do that, when we can actually see things from another person's perspective, or just ask ourselves, take a moment to, instead of instantly reacting with an upset feeling, is to pause and be like, okay, hang on a second, we don't know what's going on with that person. Maybe we should just kind of think about what other possibilities are there that could be going on with them that would cause them to have this reaction. Just like when Catherine was talking about, was Catherine, you were talking about the bullies, right? No, you were talking about nurses. Who was talking about bullies? Danielle. When Danielle, you were talking about the bullies, is that, you know, they lash out and they're upset and they're pushing people around, but we have no idea what's going on with them. And when we can kind of look at their life and maybe, you know, find out what's going on with them, is that all of a sudden maybe you can make a friend with that person instead of, you know, just being at odds with them all the time. But if we can kind of just take a moment, pause in whatever the situation is, and ask ourselves, you know, what's going on with them? Why are they doing this? And even if you can't actually communicate with that person, just by allowing yourself to step outside your own life and put yourself in that other person's shoes, all of a sudden it relieves all of that stress, that upsetness that might automatically come when somebody does something to you that you don't like, or they say something you don't like, or whatever. So we just kind of have to remember that. So that was kind of my thoughts, if anybody else wants to jump in on there.
Well, you know, Samantha, I don't really have a thought as regarding the bullying per se. But another thing that really came to mind when I was reading the chapter, when it comes to the world that we're in with being online and in business, is literally you have opportunities where to touch people and you don't even know that they're down. You don't even realize. It's kind of like you don't know that you might be that one person that that says or does something that helps a person maybe decide today's not the day to take their life and go on another day. And I don't want to be drastic about it, but it really can be that serious. I can remember a situation for me personally just a few weeks ago. Someone had posted about having a problem with getting on video and everything, and I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess the Lord just gave me the whatever to decide to just share my experience or whatever. But out of that came, this amazing opportunity to really kind of speak into someone and uplift someone. I didn't even know her. We had just become friends. But what I said went into a little bit more depth than just video, beyond video, and I guess that helped her recognize the importance of just stepping into the moment and trying to be fearless. Long story short, she ended up creating her first blog and kind of dedicated it to me as someone who helped her kind of step through that fear, and that reciprocation over time. I was down one day and she just kind of reached out to me out of the blue and just said something really great to me to uplift me that day. So it's a very big reciprocation thing. If you're giving that empathy, it's going to come back to you at just the right moment. And sometimes we forget about that when we're online.
Christina, the power, and we talk about this a lot on this hangout, the power that we have, and I don't like that word power really, but the influence that we have online is just tremendous. And you bring out such a good point, and it happens even to those of us that are like used to doing stuff like this. It still happens. It happened to me just this week. We don't it's not good to be like all up in your ego and your, all that and everything. But at the same time, we so undervalue what we can bring to people. And like you said, sometimes we don't even realize it. I remember doing a video one time, and normally I do very uplifting videos. If I'm in a lot of pain that day, I won't make a video, because I don't want people to see that part of me. I don't want anybody feeding energy to that at all, so I always try to be upbeat. But that particular day, I was led, and I would need to go back to, who was it that made the point? Danielle made the point about, if you're talking to someone and they're obviously in a bad place, you can speak to, we're energetic beings, we're spiritual beings, so you can speak to someone without using your mouth. You can just say things to them in your mind, or even if you have a disagreement with someone, you can just speak to them. What I say is like the bigger part of ourselves, we're all connected and we're all working together, right? And then the little part of ourselves in these bodies, we're kind of working together. We're supposed to be. So, but we can still work together on that bigger plane. And that day, going back to the video now, my brain jumps around. You have to bear with me here. But going back to the video, that day I was led, Spirit said, do this video now. And I'm like, no, I'm like completely in pain. I don't want anybody to see this. And like, no, you need to do it now. And I did that video. And someone saw that video and did not take their life that night. So it's so, and I even had people asking me to take that video down. And I was like, no, I can't, because, it touched one life at least. You never know what you're going to do. What day somebody's going to come across your information. So don't think that what you have to say isn't important, because we are the only ones that can say what we can say. We're all so unique. We all have such special gifts to bring to the world. And if you just sit back and think, oh, well, there's already 12 million people talking about that. But they won't say it in just the way that you will say it that will connect to that perfect person. So never underestimate your value and what you bring to this world, because we're all waiting for you to come out so we can play together.
I wanted to piggyback on that one. I'm using that word piggyback a lot today, but there's a quote that I really love by Marianne Williamson, and in part it says that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure or around you. And we are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone, all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that is exactly what this is about, because they don't know sometimes how to behave. And we give them permission to say, oh, there's a different way I can be. There's a light in me that I'm not allowing to shine, and you might be the inspiration to turn that whole other person around. And so, it is a gift. It is a special power, and it's not that just some of us have it. We've become more in tune to it, and we use it appropriately as opposed to other people.
Yeah,
I love that.
Let me jump out here and share something that, listen to the conversation here. I was married for 23 years to my first wife, and she left me. She bailed out on me, and that was like 17 years ago now, and 16, whatever it's been, doesn't matter. Anyway, after she left, I had never been online, and so I had to buy a computer. I needed to do some things with my business at the time, and my painting business, and so I got online. It was back then, as America Online, AOL, and I wasn't aware of anything that was going on the online world. I mean, it was a whole different universe to me. And one night, I mean, I was hurting so bad that I got onto a chat, and to me, chats are totally weird, or at least the ones back then. I don't know if they even still have them today, to be really honest with you. But I needed to reach out to somebody and tell them, hey, I'm hurting here. My wife left me. 23 years. She took my kids. She bailed out and left, and the pain was so deep and so powerful that I just needed to reach out to somebody and tell them, I'm hurting here. Mm-hmm. And so what you're talking about here, really it comes down to the essence of just being a human being, and to be able to, even if it was somebody online that I'd never met before, and there was a lady in Colorado. I don't even remember her name now, and I mean, we emailed back and forth for a few weeks, but I just needed somebody out there to have empathy with me that had been through what I was going through at that time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that makes sense to. I think it does. I think it probably. I think probably everybody on here has been dumped or hurt or stabbed in the back by a friend, whatever. But I think everybody understands what I'm talking about. Just to reach out with empathy. Hey, I'm hurting here. I just want somebody else on the planet somewhere to identify, with the depth of my pain here. So, I mean, I'm just putting it out there, So I'll turn it over to someone else.
That's really a good point. And so I'm thinking about, one of the advantages of doing business online, right, is that it seems to be easier to be that vulnerable, right? To say, I'm hurting, or to be even in being empathetic seems to be easier because, you know, they're not right there with you. Chances are they're not even in the same town as you. So it's just that much easier if we combine the selflessness, right, with the vulnerability. Imagine what kind of relationships that we could grow that, you know, maybe it wouldn't really contribute to our business now immediately, but you have all these people that, you know, are aware of what you're doing in your business. You're aware of what they're doing in their business. You can be a connector, and then that reciprocation will come back eventually, right?
Absolutely. You know, there's a quote in this chapter. It says, most people are merely looking for somebody who will listen to them and be sympathetic with their plight, regardless of how large or small their woes are. If you can do that for another, you are giving her a gift that will brighten her day, even her week or month. And I think that goes along with all of this of what we're talking about, because, you know, like Dan, he was just needing somebody to just be there for him. And Christina, like you were saying, somehow it seems easier to be able to be open more online because maybe there's somebody out there, we don't know them, they're not part of our lives, and so we can be more vulnerable with them because I don't know, maybe because we know that they're not going to be here to give us a hard time in our life in person. I don't know if that has something to do with it or not, but it is interesting how that works online, is that we can find people to connect with that are completely in alignment with whatever it is that we have going on, you know, because generally I think in our lives, you know, whether we're people that we work with or people that we have our families or friends, is they kind of have this set idea of who we are and what we're about, you know, just because of our long-term experience with one another. And so they think they know what you have going on in your head, but they probably don't. And when you can reach out to somebody online and make that connection, and they actually do hear what you're saying because they're actually listening, then that lifts that person up. So when you can be that person for someone else, it creates a connection that you would not otherwise be able to have. You know, I wanted to kind of shift our conversation just a little bit, because I know that you know, many of us on here are in business for ourselves in some way online, and so I really want to get some perspective on how everybody thinks that you know, connecting with somebody else on this level or seeing things from their point of view can help you in a business sense. And you know, and for instance, I know that Catherine and Donna, you guys both have done a lot of study and personalities and that sort of thing. I think I know, Donna, you've got a little group that you talk about personality traits with one type of a test, and Catherine, I think that you and the Mentoring for Free do like colors and that sort of thing. I'd like to get your guys' point of view, and of course anybody else who wants to jump in on this, is how you think that you know, connecting with people with regard to their personality, how does that help you maybe empathize with them or see things more from their perspective, and how can that help you in your business? What do you guys think? And then, of course, you know, Danielle, I know that you've got a lot of experience with that as well, and anybody else, feel free to jump out and share your thoughts.
Yeah, Samantha, I hope my dog doesn't go to barking. I'll try to be quick. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, basically, yes. The reason why I want to start that little group with the personalities is because for a long time I had took some tests before, but we all have different mentors, and we have a lot of mentors, but this was shared to me back in May of last year, and when I took that test, that was the most accurate test. It was so me, as close to my personality is. And if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, you will probably eventually in time. But it will definitely help you to find you and help you to understand how to really integrate and talk to other people. Because coming online, as I was watching you real quick before I go off, is this computer world, this digital age was a jungle to me. When I first come online, I was thinking, my God, this is a jungle. Please help. Somebody help, because you know, it just wasn't my forte. I was just so offline, and but now I understand when I'm typing to somebody, I say, listen, is it okay if we stop the typing, because it can be easily misconstrued? Because I have one of my weaknesses is communicating as it is, as far as asking questions. And I just feel like it's better that we can maybe talk on the phone or some other kind of way, because I want you to see that I'm very much human, because I don't want to get our typing misconstrued here, so you don't misunderstand me and I don't misunderstand. So that's why I love the personality trait. Okay, I'm off. Thanks, Samantha, everyone.
That's so true, Donna. Gosh, when I first came online, I was so lost. I was so overwhelmed. I don't know how I really stuck with it enough to get to where I'm comfortable doing stuff like this, because it was crazy. But I'm glad I did, because it's been such a huge, learning experience, growth experience for me. And learning about the personality colors was so, gosh, it was just pivotal. Well, anyway, I can't even say the word. It was great because people, of course, everybody is different, and you have to treat each one like an individual, but there are certain personality traits that people carry, and when you learn those and you learn how to identify which personality someone is, it automatically gives you this little insight to them. Like you suddenly know sort of what's important to them and what's not important to them, and not to use that in a manipulative way, but just to use it in a way that you can better understand where they're coming from, so that you can empathize with them. Because if you don't, if you have no idea, anybody's likes, dislikes, what turns them on, turns them off. I mean, there are some things that you can say to certain personality colors where they will turn you off like that. I mean, they will not listen to one more word that you say after that. So it can be very key in your business to be able to identify personalities, really know that this type of person is very comfortable. They want to tell you all about their family. They want to tell you their grandchildren's names. They want to tell you everything about their life. And then this other person doesn't want you to know anything about their personal life at all. And it's not like personality flaws. It's just the way that they are. And once you understand that, you're less apt to offend them, or come at them from a way that makes them feel uncomfortable, where you're actually pushing them away instead of drawing them to you. Danielle, I know you can speak on this for hours.
I love this subject. This is probably one of my favorites, because just like everybody else here that's taken these tests, when I took the first test, and it was probably about 12 years ago, oh my goodness, my world opened up in ways it had never opened up. I began understanding people, and at the time when that had happened, I'd actually achieved being a top recruiter of a really big company, and it was a direct result of understanding how personalities work, that I just suddenly knew how to talk to everybody. And it was because I always came from their perspective. And back then, like Donna was saying, this typing thing, it was kind of a new thing even back then, and I spent a lot of time on the phone. And now with the advancements of technology, I'm getting people on Hangouts. I don't spend a lot of time typing and things, because I really want them to be able to see the body language. And I think that that's an important element if we can add that in there. I had a situation yesterday with a guy. I'm making a goal right now that I have over 4,000 friends on Facebook. So I'm strategically going through each and every single person in my friends list and saying hi to them. And I got this guy yesterday that I could tell he was a total red. He was totally like blocks, fences, gates, whatever he could put around him immediately to talking to me. And he was really abrupt. And I was just asking normal questions, but it was me trying to figure him out. And like I always share, I use FORM, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Same conversation no matter who you are. And it's my way of finding out what color you are, what interests you, where your hot buttons are. And he says, why all the questions? I said, well, why have people as friends on Facebook or on any social media if you can't even say hi to them? He didn't know how to take that one. But sometimes you got to be a jab back in a good direct way. I said, it's funny how we can't say hi to people anymore. And finally, I got his fences down enough to talk to him, but it's because I understood where he was coming from. And I let him know, I'm not here to pitch you on anything. Just so you know, I'm not here to do that. I just have a goal right now, and I wanted to share that with you. So it kind of is like, oh, okay. And I hope that it, honestly, I really do hope that it made him stop and think to himself, maybe I am being a little bit abrupt. Because I wanted to do that, honestly, to give that kind of impression in a nice, tactful way. And empathetic to the fact that you poor thing, you know. So that's all I add for now.
You know what? If you can't love Danielle, then you're incapable of love. That's that's my opinion. Some things that I've been studying and I'm working on learning myself, and I made some notes here as everybody was talking. But to figure out your avatar, what is your target audience? What language do they use? What do they do for a living? Where do they hang out? Learning, so you learn to speak their language. How much money do they make? What niche is it where they hang out? What is your target audience? And some things that I've been really trying to hone in on myself is that avatar. Who, because if you're marketing to everybody, then you're marketing to no one. So you actually have to focus on a segment of a market and really hone in your marketing to the point where everything about that person. You know more about that person than maybe you know about yourself, or they know about themselves. And in order to really swing your focus in to go after a particular market. And that one of the leaders that I've been really studying, he talks about this a lot. He says your product is not your product. Your real product is you and how you come across in the marketplace and the value that you bring to the marketplace. And the real thing that we market is change. So we're I know that where the mental position where I was at when I came into this business, and I've been in and out of this business since the early mid 70s. And so, what I'm doing today is not my first rodeo. I've been in and out, and I've failed over and over and over again because there's things that I needed to learn in order to stay at it long enough in order to become successful. So one of the biggest things, is that for the online world, when the way that old style marketing was done is you made a list of your friends and your family, your relatives, and then you went out and tried to excite their mind enough to where they would get involved with you in your business. Well, the problem is most of those people are not qualified, and it's really painful to call somebody that's not qualified to do your business with you and try to excite their mind to the point where they get involved with your business. And so learning a niche, learning a market segment and getting that segment to actually, instead of you hunting them, to get them to come and hunt you and to join you in your business is like 1,000. I just spit. Hopefully nobody see that. I spit on my camera. Hey, I'm human, okay? Lighten up. So anyway, but to go find that target niche and to invite them into your world, and then through the influence that you have, to bring them into a better world and to help them and to share a little bit of you and to bring them, to help people, to help to meet them at their point of need. So anyways, I'll turn it over to somebody else.
You bring, very funny, Dan. You bring up some great points, Dan and Danielle. It's live TV, y'all. One of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking about that is, Dan, is that if you understand personalities a little bit, then you understand how to sort of ignite people. You know what I mean? You know how to kind of tickle their curiosity, and bring them into your world, right? And that is very key. And to your point, Danielle, I think it was Danielle, you were making a point about the red personality and everything. If for those who are in businesses where you are building teams and organizations where, it's not just a solo kind of business, how important is it to understand personalities? Because literally you can put people in their place to shine and empower them. Remove them from that point of, discomfort and weakness. So, if you've got that green on your team and you've got especially a complex compensation structure, my gosh, put that green out there and let them talk to everybody, because they're going to be able to break it down. If you've got that red personality, have them at the door. That you want to, kind of place people as the leader in your organization based on the strengths of their natural personality, right?
Absolutely. That is, and knowing personalities, you do know, Dan, I think you said you know them better than they know themselves sometimes. You can really, I know when I learned my personality, I thought I was a completely different personality. And then I found out I was a different personality. And it was like, well, thank God, because I was really beating myself up over being that other one. So I'm really glad that I'm this one. So sometimes if you could help people, you help people figure themselves out, and it makes them much happier people too. But you're right, Christina. You can help people embrace their strengths and really see where they shine. And yes, all of us have our strengths and our weaknesses, but when we can help people uplift them and show them how they can shine, and then put them in a position within the team to where they're serving the others, because no one can explain a comp plan like a green, right? I mean, that's just crazy. No one even wants to look at a comp plan like a green does. So, but and it makes them feel better about themselves, instead of, because we all face a lot of insecurities, when we come into these sorts of situations. And so when we have someone, or a cheerleader that can, show us where we shine, then that's just good for everybody. It's good for the whole team. And bringing it online, it opens up your world. Back in the old days, when you're just making a list of family and friends and running everybody away, that's a much different situation than being online and having access to people in other countries. If your company's open in other countries, you can connect with so many people. And I think the internet, as much as I was against it in the beginning, I think the internet is what will eventually bring world peace, because we're connecting with people of other cultures, and we're finding out that we're just like each other, and we all really want the same thing. So it's a fantastic place to be, and a fantastic place to grow a business. And you can be more, it's funny, some people really close up, like they don't want to show their weaknesses or anything. I think that's one of the things that I love about this particular hangout and this group of people, this mastermind, is that we're not afraid to show our weaknesses. There's a lot of people online that sort of put up this false front of who they are, and then they encourage all their people to do the same thing, and it turns into this mass of dishonesty, not intentionally, it's just sort of the way that they're trained. But personally, I want to connect with someone that's real, and that's why I love all you guys, so thank you.
I thought of the word that was in the chapter that talked about nobility, and it's a characteristic of a personality, and staying noble in our own actions. How we present ourselves to the world is something that and you have graciousness. I'm just watching Catherine. She just pours out love when she talks, and it exudes in that beautiful yellow that she is. That, you know, if you understand colors, then you see the color. And I encourage you, even if you're not in business and you're somebody just on this call, that this will help you in every area of your life. It truly will. In understanding other personality traits, and it takes a great character of nobility to have been this this person in the story, because he had some kind of knowledge to be able to do that. And what a great fitting part to this book about how we do really influence and win friends, and it's not a bad thing. We influence them by insight, and empathy is one of those ways that we show we have insight.
And doesn't it naturally lend itself to the know, like, and trust factor anyway? I mean, you know, that's what the goal is. I mean, no matter how you're doing business, online or offline, the more people know, like, and trust you, the more you're going to be able to attract people to you, so that you don't have to chase them down, like you were saying. So absolutely, understanding the personalities too is also another way to know how to approach somebody, like you were saying earlier. And I don't think we do enough listening. And I know you're thinking, well, we're on internet, Christina, you can't listen. But yes, you literally can. You know, when people are typing back to you, if you're taking it in and really paying attention to what they're saying, they're giving you an indication to how to communicate with them. So it's much like a parent who has multiple kids. You can't push them all the same way. Or like a coach who's trying to motivate their player. You know, some players you can get in their face. Other players you gotta love on them a little bit more. So all of these things are, I don't know, just really important to the success of your business.
That's really great, Christina. That's a great point. There, you know, we all have our own personalities, and we react differently to different type of training and coaching. You know, it's difficult to when you're in the heat of the moment to kind of slow things down sometimes, and make sure that we're coming from a good place with what we're trying to communicate. And in this example with the umpire in the picture, you know, I just don't see. I mean, you know, personally, being as a young athlete, I would have been pretty upset and beside myself. You know, I don't know if I would have reacted that way at all, but it was, you know, this pitcher, I guess, I mean, he must have been so grateful to have been, you know, up there on the mound and going through the experience that he was, that, you know, he was able to put aside his pain and see it from another point of view. You know, personally, I think that's the only way when I'm in situations like that, the only way I can get through my emotional state of being frazzled and upset is to just remember what I'm grateful about. You know, try to find something and that I'm extremely grateful about at that moment. And because I learned through, you know, these books that, you know, you can't be upset and angry and at the same time grateful. So if you can put yourself in a position of gratefulness, then maybe that can help you, like it's helped me to manage these crisis situations like that where we might fly off the handle. But I hope this has helped everyone as it has for me. You know, just rehashing and you know, remembering to do that. You know, so great discussions, guys. Great points.
Everybody's had so many wonderful things to say today and so many great points. I love this discussion, and I'm so grateful to all of you to be on here with us and adding your thoughts and your insights, because that just helps everybody. I just love it. I was going to go through and kind of mention some of the things that everybody said, but we're coming up right now at the top of the hour. So I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And thank you for being on here with us as well. And for those of you who are out there watching, thank you. We enjoy having you on here. It would be pointless if you weren't out there watching, because then we'd just be talking to ourselves. I think we mentioned that last week. But thanks for being here. And let's see, just kind of wrap it up. So again, you can meet us here every week, SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. Go ahead and, at the end of this video, once it renders, it'll be on YouTube. You can like the video. You can subscribe to our channel so you'll be notified each time we do a new Hangout. It'll automatically gets uploaded. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Have an awesome and amazing, wonderful, and amazing weekend. I already said amazing. Live TV, right? Have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.